Most pineal glands that we have are completely calcified and full of all sorts of things, which, we can still clear up or hack to make a little bit better. We'll talk about that some other time.
Well, it's a bony lump that's in the middle of the brain that you actually use to detect a tumor because it'll be slightly offset.
Right. So these things were the studies when I left the project, which I was really enthralled about. Because it's weird to see a metallic structure inside that's normal, that was made by the being and not implanted by the being. Many beings I've operated on have implants in them. They might be even half cybernetic because they lost a limb or whatnot, or to increase, whatever their job position is. Some might not have any feet. The feet are really shrunken up because they're in zero gravity. They don't need it. Some have no mouths, a very small slit just because they don't have to eat, and all their nutrition is, teletransported into their cellular nucleolus of the cell. So there's many factors. So that was probably for me one of the most fascinating things I've seen.
I'm trying to understand what you're saying, though, that when you cut open the pineal gland, you would see yourself in it. Explain that?
Yeah, it actually has, it's actually hollow. Okay, it's not solid. Okay, and you could see a perfect mirror on the inside of this almond-shaped gland, and it was, very startling. Plus, when you open it, this very intense flash would happen every time, even after the being was down for more than 30 days. It still harbored energy, and a lot of these beings, they thought were dead, but they were not really dead, because if they were on their planet, even after 60 days, they could bring them back.
Wow, that's
which we didn't find out till later on in the project, which is very unfortunate.
So you're saying it was like a concave mirror?
Yes.
And you could see reflections of the room, including yourself, in the mirror?
Absolutely.
Wow,
yes.
That's really bizarre. And it was how much larger were some of these than the typical pea-sized human pineal gland that we have?
No, they were larger. They were about the size of an almond.
Wow.
They were a lot larger, and I've done a lot of cancerous penile stereotactic removals of these types of glands in humans. So I'm very familiar with what they looked like in humans going through endoscopic sinus surgery or using a stereotactic, for you neurosurgeons out there, you guys know what I'm talking about, to pinpoint these pineal glands to remove them because of the cancerous things that happen to a lot of humans. And these were about 5 to 6 times the size. But they still were the same size as us, anywhere from 5 foot to 6 feet tall, around 120 to 185 pound specimens. Their brains were a little bit different, but they still looked just like us. There's no different. Even a couple times I was always confused, wow, this looks like a human, like one of us, I wonder what this is about. And it wasn't until a year later that I realized, and I was debriefed, because some of these beings that came in were on vessels that I was debriefed on that were not from Earth origin.
Well, I asked him about an eye, and you get this whole different, interesting answer. Could you answer the question, though? What was the weirdest?
Well, the pineal gland, that is the weirdest thing, is operating on that.
The eyeball. What was the weirdest eye that you ever dissected?
Weirdest eyeball? Well, I don't know. It's probably the being that kind of had the eye like a cuttlefish. Kind of cut the cross between a goat and a goat has these square eyes, and cuttlefish has these other kind of diamond shaped stuff. And there was some eyes like that were multi-layered and multi-pupiled, because it had one pupil, and then on the top of it had another pupil on each side of the diamond. So it had this trifecta of vision.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was probably the weirdest one I've ever, as far as Dave has this eyeball thing. So this eye, that was probably the weirdest eyeball thing I've ever seen. And I did not, by the way, harvest that, but they were doing some testing on it. And I was actually on another part of the body working on it when they were doing the eye thing. But it was very intriguing, yeah.
I would imagine that the level of technology necessary to try to dissect an eyeball with 3 pupils, we're talking about microsurgery to try to identify where the retina,
Yeah, what they do, so the reason I take out organs, Dave, is because we don't do that really fine surgery. We take out the organ or the eyeball and send it to another operating unit, and they scan this with amazing scanners that they don't have to operate on it because they can scan it, and then they can 3D print it over here exactly the way it was. And we can do this now with you guys. 3D print the eyeball exactly like the scan does for this, specimen. And then they can operate on this one all day long without destroying the real organ.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
So I did want to talk about some things that we have in the slideshow here. So let's talk about this now. A month after you came forward, and the cabal knows it's over, right? Because we did not want to do this on YouTube, by the way, because YouTube will just delete your channel and it's gone. And that's been happening over and over again. So we go in, we get him on film, 16 episodes, something like that. It was a lot.
16 and 2 hours.
That's right. And so they knew the jig is up. And so very soon after this, just a month later, the Tom DeLonge disclosure came forward. This was what we saw on the Drudge Report, Pentagon's mysterious UFO program, Navy jet encounters unknown object, operated like nothing seen before. And the point here is, this is something that is being done by the people that are trying to keep the secrets a secret, because we're awakening too fast now. Thanks to guys like Emery, they need to show us something. They can't completely keep us in the dark anymore because they're worried that it's just going to become something they can no longer control. They want to try to control the narrative, and that's apparently what this Tom DeLonge thing was for. And it's very bizarre. Less than a month later, after this big announcement came out, the Jimmy Church calls me up and talks to me about this unbelievable thing where, as you can see it right here, they were presenting this balloon as if it was a UFO. And the question is, if you have all these CIA agents that are advising Tom DeLonge, who, by the way, has never been willing to speak to me, and if there was anybody in this community, I think you'd agree with this, Emery, if there's anybody Tom DeLonge should talk to, it should be me.
Exactly.
Right?
And I have so many followers calling me like, you have to talk to Tom DeLonge. I said, well, have him call me.
Yeah.
That's what I say. I say, have him call David. I'm like, but nothing. We haven't had anything. I wonder why, David. I guess we're not popular.
So you can see on the left here, they tweaked it in Photoshop a little bit, made the background a little more blue, but then on the right, you can see 3 of the shots of this balloon that it was taken from as it's kind of tumbling around in the air. So this is CIA guys that are involved with Tom DeLonge, and clearly this was a known event. They did not accidentally do this. And they always have to have a way to dump something. They always have to have a way to get rid of something. And so they had to be able to trash the whole operation if needed. So then during this same time frame, mid-December, they come out with this 𝗪𝗪𝗧 thing, which is really, really fascinating, because what you have here, they're calling it Comet C2017U1. You can see here, it rotates once every 7.3 hours, so it's spinning end over end like this. It's 400 meters long by 80 meters wide. The trajectory of the orbit indicates it could not have originated from our solar system. It's extremely dark colored red, the hallmark of organic molecules. And so with the red arch that you see there, this is the way that it came through our solar system, the first non-solar system object that we've ever seen. And it gets really bizarre because this is literally coming out at the same time. Look at this. On the left is the Pentagon UFO report, right? What are the unexplained alloys, as it says there. And then on the right, this is dig.com, which aggregates the most popular stories on the internet, the icy secrets of an interstellar visitor. The mysterious space object 𝗪𝗪𝗧 may harbor ice under a crust hardened by cosmic radiation. Well, the obvious fact is that this thing looks like a cigar-shaped mothership. And as the reports go on, they say that it actually appears to be metallic in nature. That the red color, it reflects light as if it was metallic. And look at what it says here. This is from Daily Mail, December 13th. It suggests that it's an alien probe with broken engines, according to a leading astronomer, right? And then we have Stephen Hawking, who's baffled by it and believed that it also was most likely an extraterrestrial craft, and this is right before he died. So this again is one of these things they gave us to try to get us ready at the same time the Tom DeLonge stuff comes out. And according to Corey Good's sources, as we said before, this was something where our secret space program folks actually landed on it, got inside, and they found a technological wonderland that they estimate to be over 1 billion years old from what we were calling the ancient builder race. So that's something I covered yesterday. And this is a really fascinating element for me because what it seems to suggest is that this is the first time that we will be able to understand who the ancient builder race was, where they came from, how to read their inscriptions, the original writing, all. And remember, if you didn't see yesterday's talk, which I think probably most of you did, the ancient builder race supposedly has built crystallized pyramids, obelisks, and domes on moons and planets all over our solar system and all over the 56, 57 other stars nearby us. And it's over 2 billion years old. So I've identified this seems to have been something that came from the Law of One. And then right in the same time frame, right in the exact same few period of days, they put another piece on the chessboard, which is this huge new chamber in the Great Pyramid. And so Scan Pyramids is the name of this particular company that did this. And what they're doing is they're using neutrinos, actually. They don't know exactly whether it's a horizontal void or whether it's on a slight diagonal tilt like you see here, but this is a massive chamber. And believe me, I would bet money that they have already been in there and they know what they're going to find, and this is another one of these things they can just pop open when they're ready to do so. And it says here, a large, previously unknown chamber at Khufu's pyramid has been revealed by imaging muons. These particles are partially absorbed by stone. Placing muon detectors inside and outside the pyramid, they're able to infer the presence of a space where more muons than expected hit the sensors. So look, this is something they had in their back pocket. This is something they were ready to come out with when they needed to. And Emery, one of the things that you have talked about that I find so fascinating is this idea of how many things that are weird were kept in the Vatican library. So could you please go through for us? I think we got another at least 15 minutes left. So could you please go through for us the Vatican story? Because it seems like, we talked about this in our taping, right?
Right.
And let me just pop this one in real quick,
Yeah,
too,
please,
which is in the exact same time frame. They have this new chamber that shows up in the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan. And they announced that as well. Another weird underground chamber. So, based on what you've seen in the Vatican Library yourself, and the idea that they're going to try to control the narrative when the cabal is really on the ropes and they're out of time, they want to do this partial disclosure. What do you think they might have set up for us inside these chambers, based on what you saw in the Vatican?
Well, based on what I saw in the Vatican, first of all, under these pyramids, there is a large few hundred acre city that they are pillaging right now and trying to also change the dynamics of what the real archaeologists will feel when they go down in there, including Antarctica, that the Vatican does know about very well since they've been pillaging this area for millennia. And going down in there, I've been there 3 times in the classified areas of the Vatican, that they have just a huge plethora of artifacts that would really help historians and people on the planet realize, where we really do come from. But they're trying to, of course, abstain from doing that. The great thing is that the Catholic Church did come out a couple years ago, and the Pope said that ETs do exist and they're children of God.
Yeah, exactly.
Alibaba. And then I guess everything was great because they do have the largest observatory, by the way, and they have a huge scientific team that's just completely amazing. I was really impressed.
If you like this video and you want to see more amazing content, go ahead and check out the next video on our channel.
If you enjoyed this, make sure to watch the next video on AwakenZone. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, but you won't want to miss what's coming next.